Welcome back. I continue with my conversation with State Representative Danny Perez.
So I'm going to answer that in a couple different ways, Jim. But to be as forthright as possible, yes, we are looking at changes to the bill that was passed during special session. The follow-up that I know you're going to ask me, because you're one of the best in the business, is, well, what are the changes? The changes are a work in progress. One of the greatest concerns that I have heard is, well, the reserve studies. We're not going to have time to do the reserve studies. That is a requirement now. Every association has to have that reserve study. Well, the deadline for the association to be able to do a reserve study is the last day of 2024. So there is a good amount of time for you to do the reserve study. The problem that some of these condo owners are having is saying, well, I can't afford the $30,000 special assessment. There's two things that I want to say to that. One, any increase to the association fee on behalf of the condo owner is because it is going to improve a structural integrity component. And so I ask you to talk to your associations. If you're listening to this program right now and you're watching us, talk to your association and make sure that increase in the association fee, that increase in the special assessment, that it's actually for structural integrity components. I've had some constituents call, and I'm looking at the bill, or the invoice, for lack of a better term, and I'm watching, resurfacing the pool or different parts going in there that might not be within the bill that we passed last year. So make sure that it is for structural integrity components. On the other front, we did the milestone inspection through phases, and we did a 25, 30-year breakdown depending on if you were within 3 miles or not of the coastline. We're looking at that right now. That is one of the discussions that we're having into the bill. The bill has not been filed yet in the House. We're working very closely with the Senate, not just President Pasadomo, but Senator Bradley as well. She's a dear friend of mine, and we're working together on this issue. As far as who's going to sponsor it in the House, we're still working through that, but the House is very unified on this front. And the most important part of all of it, Jim, the only priority, the only thing that we are thinking about as we're going through this process is how can we make these buildings that are 3 stories or more as safe as possible, so that what happened at Surfside never happens again. This is not a special interest move. This is not about anything outside of, is this going to make buildings safer so that we never have to get that phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning again. We will accomplish that. We accomplished it during special session, and we'll continue to do so in this bill over the next several months. This will be my 5th year in the legislature, Jim. I've been blessed that my constituents back at home have allowed me to come here and serve for 5 straight years. For 5 straight years, I've seen an abortion bill. So if I was a betting man, I'd say yes, just based on the odds that so far it's 5 for 5. As far as the details of what the expectations are for a bill like that, that has not come by my radar, to be very honest. I haven't seen that. I don't know if there's something in drafting, because we don't see the bills while they're in drafting. You are correct in stating that I don't want to see the weeks increase from 15 to 22 or 24 or anything higher. I do not want to see that. I am pro-life. I don't think it's a secret. I've been pretty vocal about it. You have to remember, I do believe that that life does begin at the moment of conception, and that's a belief that I have. That's what my faith believes. And so, I have never wavered from that. I will never waver from that, to be very honest. I think to talk about, what I would or wouldn't be in favor of, it's premature because I haven't seen what's in front of me. To answer your question, Jim, and I'll answer it, is, would I be in favor of the 15 weeks moving up to 6 weeks? Yes, I would be in favor of that. But
Would you be
for anything with 6 weeks, I would be in favor of a 6-week ban. But the real question, or less ban, 6 weeks or less. The real question, Jim, is this is such a touchy subject, and you and I have had this debate many times, and I'm sure we will many times over the years to come. I hope even when I'm out of office, you still call me to interview me so that we can still hang out and chat about current events. But it's so premature right now, Jim. It really is, because we don't know what that looks like. We don't know what the bill looks like. Would I expect one? Yes. Am I pro-life? Absolutely. Am I in favor of moving it 15 to 6 weeks? Yes, I am. But the details are what truly matter. And look, it is our job as elected officials that serve our base of constituents to hear our constituents. This is not just about what I believe is in the best interest of the state of Florida. I have to hear my constituents. And when we're getting into the issue that is, pro-life versus pro-choice, you have to say that a 6-week ban, if I had to guess, would probably be in the minority of opinions if you were to ask every single Floridian. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't move to 6 weeks. I would still be in favor of that. But there's a process that goes into voting for a bill. We're not there yet. What I can tell you is when that bill comes out, I don't know if it is, but I'm going to assume it is, only because it always has. When that bill comes out, I will be back on your show and more than happy to talk to you about the details. Our resign to run laws are a little different. They've been changed a couple of times, if I remember correctly. And before I got here, and Jim, you probably know a little bit more about this than I do, but I want to say maybe in the Charlie Crist era, it was changed. I have no idea. I wish I had a better answer for you. This is this one I have hasn't even come on my radar. There hasn't been anything that has been brought to my attention on this specific issue. I don't believe there's actually, I'm almost certain there's been nothing filed on this issue. If those
do you have any, I'm just curious.
Speaker and Senate President, maybe they have. Jim, I have not had those conversations, so it's hard for me to opine on. I don't know. That's the topic. That's the topic of the day every day. I get that question pretty often. Obviously, Governor Ron DeSantis has done a phenomenal job as governor of the state of Florida. What his future plans are, they're for him to answer. He obviously has a very bright future ahead of him. I travel quite a bit for work, and one of the most common comments that I receive when I travel the country, and I tell people I'm from Florida, they're always like, man, we love your governor. We think your governor is doing a great job. It's been a pretty common theme. So he obviously has the national attention. As far as what he decides to do, that's for him and our First Lady, Casey DeSantis, to decide alongside their children and their family. It's a very private decision for them to make. And I guess we'll just wait and see.
Up next, it's race day in Daytona, but we already know who the big winner is, thanks to a new Florida tax break for NASCAR. That story is coming up.